Good evening, folks, and a very warm welcome to you wherever you may be. Thank you for joining us on this, episode that's going to be sure to arouse a lot of interest, cause a bit of controversy as well, and above all, inform and entertain you. My name's Tonchi Prusak. It's an absolute pleasure to be with you here tonight. Can you believe it's episode 11 already for this year? We're fast approaching the halfway mark of the season. We always said we wanted to get 25 episodes done, and thanks to our major sponsor, the Gordon, we are certainly going to see 25 episodes, but we'd love to get up to maybe even 30 because that will take us through to the end of September. Folks, we've got a huge show tonight, as I say every week, but this week I am not joking. I seriously am not joking. We're lucky in the Geelong region, particularly our juniors, to be exposed, I guess, to some great coaches. And, one of those coaches are also one of our sponsors, and that's Curva Coaching Geelong. We don't hide from that fact. But tonight we catch up with the director of Curva Coaching Geelong, Adrian Leyer, with whom we caught up way back in episode 1. Adrian, former Socceroo and a Melbourne Victory legend, has just returned from a study tour to England. And when I say study tour, well, he spent the entire day catching up with the legendary Big Ange Postecoglou, and his assistant Mila Jedinak, the two Aussies at EPL giants Tottenham Hotspur. And he also spent an entire day in the company of the Tottenham Hotspur Youth Academy director. He's got some great feedback that he's taken back to Australia, which he will take on board with his Curva coaching programs. And a little bit later on, we will catch up with that interview. It was a pre-recorded interview. I recorded that interview last Friday afternoon down at Surf Coast, just as Adrian was getting ready to set up the Friday night program that they have in place with Surf Coast, which is a Curva Coaching Club partner. I think I've said that right. That goes for about 20 minutes, worth hanging around and listening to. Now, over the weekend, we had a rather interesting situation in the grading phase. In the local women's grading phase, one team defeated another 23 goals to nil. One team that did the winner was Barwon's A Club, and the team that was on the wrong end of the 23-0 scoreline was Drysdale's B team. Has Football Victoria got the grading system right? Have they, the clubs wanted it. We've got to start somewhere. But was there a teething problem? Was there an anomaly here? We're going to discuss that with someone who has been around the traps, both as a player. He's played at Drysdale, Barwon. I'm going to certainly lose a couple of clubs here, but he was going to tell us all about that. He was heavily instrumental in the formation of the wildly successful Masters Summer League. He's also coached both juniors and seniors, and up until recently, up until last year, he was the coach of the Barwon women's senior team, i.e. the team that won 23-0. This year, he's decided to focus on a completely different perspective of football, and that is refereeing. So he sees things now where the rest of us see from the sidelines, he sees from the middle. His name, of course, is Simon Blanche, and he'll be joining us very, very shortly. And Blanchy, who's well known around the traps, I think will give a very good objective analysis and indication of whether or not Football Victoria has got it right and what the pros and cons are. It's already, within the last half hour on social media, produced a lot of interest, a lot of talking points as well. So we'd love for you all to come on and join us on the chat. Put your two bobs worth in. Say what you think is right or what's wrong. Has Football Victoria got the grading system right or not? And please be civilised. We don't want no insults, and we certainly do not want any swearing. Folks, we're going to have a very short break. When we return, it's the news desk. Then we'll have Simon Blanche joining us, and then after that, Adrian Leyer. Folks, don't go away.
Your future is in your hands. There is a whole world waiting for you, and your choices determine how you will impact it. At the Gordon, we recognise this. That's why we champion hands-on learning. Get your hands dirty. Grab what's in front of you. Learn by doing. Turn your passion, your ideas, and mould them into your creations. You'll be supported the entire way. You'll grow your skills in small classes, guided by teachers who are industry experts. You'll learn in state-of-the-art facilities or out in a real-world workplace setting. Your hands-on experience will increase your understanding and put you ahead of your university peers. You'll graduate work-ready, and you'll graduate sooner, with a huge range of qualifications to choose from and support services to enable your success. Now is the time to continue your learning journey. At the Gordon, your future is in your hands.
Welcome back to the Geelong Region Soccer Show. Time now for the news desk. Well, over the weekend we had a whole round of matches being played throughout the region, all over the region, and one thing had a common denominator. Apart from the love of the round ball code, apart from the love for the World Game, there was also the love for all of our mothers, as it was Mother's Day. And it was great to see a whole heap of clubs earlier today on social media putting up different posts, a whole heap of different posts, and that was really good to see. Some of those posts included, like Corio Soccer Club, Ocean Grove Soccer Club, the newly one, and you see these photos, they're becoming more and more prevalent, clubs starting to put photos on Mother's Day and Father's Day as well, of their respective mothers, and even the boys who didn't have their mothers present for whatever reason, they get part of the photo as well. And that's great to see because they are all part of the team as well. Then clubs had their own interesting and innovative ways of some beautiful designs. I think Canva is certainly getting the Canva Illustrator app is getting a very good work over. But there's two very, very nice screenshots of posts, social media posts by Armstrong United on the left, Lara United on the right. We also had others, Barwon Soccer Club on the left, Geelong Soccer Club on the right, and last but certainly not least, FC Leopold there on the left, and the Deakin Ducks on the right. These are by no means all of the posts, because we wouldn't be able to put all the posts in, no doubt, because there's just so many to do. But it's great to see mums getting a real recognition, and when we were in the midst of Female Football Week as well. But then some of the clubs were very, very innovative, such as Geelong Rangers. Let's see what they did.
Me, where do I go last then? Happy Mother's Day. 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 Happy Mother's Day.
Brilliant stuff there. And, well, the North Geelong under-15 boys even went one step further by not only did they walk with their mothers out onto the field, I guess the mums were like mascots or ball boys or ball girls, whatever you call it, but they also, after the game, the boys made sure that the mums came into the inner sanctum of the dressing room and sang the theme song afterwards. If there's any little kids watching, there is one word that mentions that's a little bit, you might want to block your ears, but... Oh, come on now, boys. You could have changed the theme song. We are the North boys and mums, at least for Mother's Day. But great to see. And what beautiful weather. Have we not had some of the most fantastic autumn weather over the last few weeks? Certainly no excuse not to get out and about and enjoy local community football. Now let's move along to the results of games played over the weekend. And if you're a fan of both of our VPL or VPLW teams, I guess there wasn't much to celebrate, unfortunately, this weekend. North Geelong Warriors had a must-win game against Melbourne City at home on Saturday. It was a 3-0 win to the visitors. And that means, simply put, that North Geelong Warriors remain in 14th spot on the bottom of the competition standings. Now, this week, it's the first game of the second half of the season in the VPL. A must-win game. It's a 6-pointer. North Geelong in last plays Werribee City in second last. That game this Saturday, Alco Park at 3 p.m, round 14 fixture. Pretty much, you could honestly say, if North Geelong does not win this game, does not beat Werribee City, they will be staring down the barrel of relegation, which will be unfortunate for the Warriors. It will be their second consecutive relegation. And I might be speaking a little bit too early, and hopefully I am, and hopefully I get proven wrong, but this is a make or break game. Basically, a grand final for the Warriors. So if you're out and about, make sure, and you are a Warriors fan, get down to Alco Park. They need your support like never before. In the women's, the Victorian Premier League women's, round 7, Geelong Galaxy came up against the top side, Casey Comets, and did very well, but unfortunately left the round 7 fixture without any points. 3-2 loss. Ogaki and Rakic getting the goals there for Galaxy. Galaxy remain in 4th spot. This week they've got a significantly easier game when they come up against Melbourne University, who are 10th. That game will be played on Sunday at Princess Park in Parkville, kickoff at 3 p.m. Let's turn our attention now to the men's state league competition, round 7. Corio drew with Sydenham Park. Now, this is a great result. Sydenham Park, high-flying, really aiming for promotion this year. Very, very, very difficult game this was going to be. Jamie Nogler scored the only goal for Corio, and a good result there in the end for the home side. They remain in 8th position by courtesy of that draw. Western Suburbs hosted Geelong, and a hat-trick from Dennis Delury. Magnificent result, that 3-2 for Geelong. They've jumped up to 5th spot on the competition standings in State 1. In State 2, Craigieburn City, who was second last, have now leapfrogged Geelong Rangers into third last position. Geelong Rangers now drop into second last position after losing the game against Craigieburn City 4-2. Yusong Sun scored 2 goals. That brings his season's tally to 4 goals. In State League 4, we had the West Side Strikers host Bell Park, and in an identical score to the Craigieburn City and Geelong Rangers game, West Side Strikers defeated our boys 4-2. Nick Giorgio and Xander Milanovic scoring for Bell Park. Bell Park, as a result, dropped to 10th position on the competition standings. Bowen, what is going on at Bowen? They travelled to Truganina, lowly Truganina, I might add, and came away with a 1-0 defeat. That drops Bowen down to 7th position on the State League 4 table. But Surf Coast at the other end have really solidified their spot at the top. 9-0 win against Barnstoneworth. Well done to Surf Coast. That is a great result. John Pikett managed to get a hat-trick, as did Alex Kainor. I hope I got that right. We've got Luka Jurkovic scoring, Pante and Bickett. Now, John Pikett now has taken his tally to 11 goals this season. He's by far the leading goal scorer in State League 4 at the moment. And special mention must be made of young Ryder Supple, who made his debut coming on in the 68th minute. He's a central attacking midfielder forward, and he's only 16 years of age. And, this is what happened in the dressing rooms after the game. There you go. Celebration in the Surf Coast rooms after the game. Congratulations to young 16-year-old Ryder Supple coming on in 68th minute. Wow, how good is that? Coming on for your debut and being part of a 9-0 scoreline. A big shout out to Joey Giacomazzo, who corrects me and says Quaynor is how you say his name, Alex Quaynor. Thank you, Joey G. Really appreciate that. Getting back to the results of the State League then, we turn our attention now to State League 5. Lara United made it 7 goals from 7 matches, defeating the very difficult and vastly improved ETA Buffalo 6 goals to 0. Tristan McGrath scoring 4 goals. He had 5. He scored a 5th one, but that was disallowed. Nonetheless, 4 goals takes his season's tally to 9 goals for the season. And you guessed it, he is at the moment the leading goal scorer of State League 5. Tristan's brother Connor managed to get 1 goal as well, and Trinity Marniso also scored a goal. He's scored 6 now for the season. Ocean Grove coming up against Bendigo City at Shell Road Reserve. Unfortunately for the locals, Bendigo City ran out 5-2 winners for Veta and Jester scoring his 2nd goal in as many weeks. And Tana United hosted Deakin Ducks. The result there was an emphatic 5-0 win for the Ducks. Sam Wyeth scoring 2 goals, Kalimbi scoring 1, Van Bergeek 1, and Luke Dull as well scoring 1 goal as well. Sam Wyeth, he scored 6 goals this season, includes 2 braces in the last 2 weeks, and Kalimbi also has got 6 goals for the season. Well done. All right, we're turning our attention now to the men's fixtures this week, and then we're going to look at the women's competitions. Brimbank Stallions hosting Corio, so it's a battle of 7th versus 8th. That's at Italia Sporting Complex in Brimbank on Saturday. Geelong 5th hosting Upfield 10th. That's at Stead Park, 6 p.m. on Saturday night. Rangers hosting Hume United. It's 11th versus 8th at Myers Reserve. And then let's look at State League 4. This is going to be containing probably the game of the season. Bell Park 10th, host Balmoral, who are in 8th. Melton Phoenix, who are in 3rd, taking on Barwon, who are in 7th. But then the big one is going to happen at Green Gully Reserve at 3 p.m. Keilor Wolves, who are 2nd and 2 points behind Surf Coast, they take on Surf Coast. Should be a cracker of a game. And we're not putting too much pressure on the lads from Bunyal Warri Reserve, but if Surf Coast can defeat Keilor Wolves, they will open up a significant 5-point gap at the top of the competition standings. Friday night in State League 5 action, Lara Recreation Reserve comes alive at 8:30 p.m. when Lara United hosts Wyndham. That game is round 8 fixture. ETA Buffalo, who are in 4th position, taking on the Deakin Ducks, who are in 2nd. That's a Delahaye Reserve at 3 p.m. And then Ocean Grove hosting Spring Hills. So it's a battle of 9th versus the 5th based teams. So that's going to be pretty, I'll tell you what, pretty exciting, that's for sure. We're going to take are we going to take a very short break? We are going to take a very short break. When we return, we're going to be looking at the Women's State League competition. Don't go away. Okay, we're back now. Let's quickly have a look at the state women's results. There are only 2 teams now in the state women's competition after last week's exit by Lara United, who have decided to pull out of the state competition. They've entered a team in the local league competition instead. North Geelong Warriors defeated Ballarat City 2 goals to nil. Julia Akmacic, and we believe an own goal. Apologies if it wasn't the case, because Football Victoria's online scoring platform, I think, needs a serious overhaul, and everyone says that week in, week out. Anyway, a good win to the Warriors there in round 4 of State League 1. In State League 2, Geelong Rangers recorded a 3-0 win over Greenvale United as a result of a forfeit. So that means this weekend, the North Geelong Warriors travel to Avenger Park to take on the top-placed Avondale FC, who have played 4 games and 4 wins this round 5 fixture. Crucial game for the Warriors. It's going to be a tough one, but it'll certainly show where they are as far as their promotion hopes are concerned. In State League 2, Geelong Rangers have an equally tough game against second-placed Westgate, who are also undefeated. That game kicks off at Myers Reserve at 1 p.m. And that brings us to the end of the news desk. Folks, if you'd like to join Bell Park, Geelong Rangers and Barwon as well, they are the clubs that have sponsored an episode this year. And as a result, we've already featured those clubs in episodes that have featured the Club in Focus segment. And with Bell Park and with Barwon, we'll be also having second episodes because they've sponsored 2 episodes later this year sometime. So why not get your club featured? And it could be a new committee. Maybe it's something that's happening behind the scenes. You may have an increase in the juniors and you want to promote or publicise something that's positive happening at your club. Don't be like one of the club presidents recently I spoke to who just didn't want a really good piece of news publicised. I don't know why, for whatever reason, but we in a city where we are dominated by AFL and dominated by other sports as well, we really need to publicise as much as possible all the good things that are happening in our sport. And often than not, we always find that we hear about the bad things, not the good things. Well, here's an opportunity to promote your club and also do something good and sponsor an episode of the Geelong Region Soccer Show podcast. Support the show that supports your sport. Folks, like I said, don't go away. We're going to have a very, very short break, an ad break. And when we return, it'll be time for our very, very first guest, and that will be Simon Blanche, who's a former footballer, former coach, and is now a referee. And he'll tell us all about his thoughts on the local league's grading competition. Don't go away. Welcome back to the Geelong Region Soccer Show. Well, during the week, or on the weekend, we had this, I guess you could call it, anomaly. Maybe it was teething problems to do with the grading phase. But we did have a situation where in the women's grading phase, there was a game that saw Barwon defeat Drysdale 23 goals to 0. Now, put it into perspective. That was Barwon's A team and that was Drysdale's B team. The Drysdale B team consisted of largely 15, 16-year-old girls playing their first year of senior football. And they ought to be commended. Too many times we sort of try and mollycoddle players, especially at senior level. And even though it is a social competition here locally, 15-year-old girls playing senior football, that means they must be pretty good and they want to go places. And they got to learn, and just like boys, they got to learn resilience. And even in the face of adversity and results like this, I think this is where you learn. You don't learn from beating teams 10-0, 15-0. You learn from actually losing games like this. And what is it? And even feeling the humiliation, I guess, never wanting to repeat that, you'll learn. And it does make you stronger. It does make you more resilient. And I guess we don't have enough of that in Australian football. But anyway, that's my take on it. And someone who has got a much, much better understanding of the local competition and the local scene is a former player He's a former coach, senior coach as well, senior women's coach at that. And these days, he looks at things from a different perspective, not from the sidelines, but from right in the middle as a referee. It's an absolute pleasure to welcome to the Geelong Region Soccer Show. Should I say welcome back to the Geelong Region Soccer Show, Simon Blanche. Blanchy, good evening, and how are you? And welcome back to the Geelong Region Soccer Show.
Good evening, Tonchi. I'm very well, thank you.
Well, mate, great to have you joining us. I hear you're out of town, in fact, on work, but you still managed to find some time to come and jump on the Geelong Region Soccer Show podcast.
I'm currently working away in Warrnambool for a couple of days, but happy to come on the show.
Yeah. Now, mate, we've there was a bit of, let's not call backlash. There was a bit of feedback happening on social media with and dare I say, I don't even know if Bowen actually ended up having to pull the post about the match result, but it's a bit strange because let's be honest. And you were coach of the senior women's team at Bowen last year. I mean, Bowen, as do all clubs, win, lose or draw, they always put the posts up of what the team happened on the weekend.
That's always been the case at Bowen. They've always put their posts up of their results. It's something that they always do. They're proud of the teams that they have on the pitch. But I do get the animosity towards the result. And it's not an animosity towards Bowen putting the actual post up, I don't believe. I think it's a lot to do with the FFV not getting it right in Geelong specifically with women's football. They had a fantastic opportunity with the Women's World Cup last year to really go hard and really support the women's football in Geelong. I think they got it wrong. I think last year's grading was half a season. Then after that half a season, they literally wiped off the results, all the goal standings, all that sort of stuff from the first half of the season. So if you had a stellar first half of the season, got injured, and then didn't score another goal, it wouldn't really actually sort of get the actual details of that season, which was really disappointing as a coach. But as a player, you don't want to play in a game where it's 23-0. As a player that's on the sort of worse end of that, I don't want to see girls and actually sort of people lose interest in the game because of a result like that.
Yeah.
I wanted to make it. It wasn't that long ago. It was Women in Football Week. And I think I just want to give you a bit of a stat. Female coaches are up 70% this year. I think female refs are up 180% this year.
That's amazing, isn't it? That is an astounding figure. We'll talk about the refs a little bit later.
It just shows how many women and girls are interested in playing and taking part in local football or soccer. And I think that the FFV for so long have seen Geelong as the sort of forgotten cousin. It's just, we'll take the money from Geelong, but we're not going to invest the time and effort into getting it right down here. If you think there's 5 teams locally that have 2 sides, there you go. There's half a league each straight away. But the problem, what they've done this year, instead of listening and actually reaching out to the different sides to say, right, have you got an under-15s that haven't got a league to play in? Because it's not a case of ability, I don't think, Tonchi. Mm-hmm. Max is quite right in his comment there that literally, unless you play Metro, there is no under-15s league local.
Correct, yeah.
So you don't have an opportunity. As a coach for Bowen last year, I had girls that should have been playing under-15s, under-16s, coming to play in the senior side. When they haven't quite developed, it's quite hard for some of the smaller bodies to sort of get in amongst it. But at the same time, you've got people that have got massive heart, but they're absolutely sort of smaller in stature, but no less ability. But the problem is, if you're not playing in a league that's to your age group, especially when you're at that age, that's very hard to do week in, week out without injuries, without getting hurt. And honestly, I do think that there's a level of frustration from a lot of players and a lot of coaches and a lot of people involved with sports clubs about the FFV not doing enough for the Geelong community and especially women's football.
Yeah, no, that's a really, really good point. And keep the comments coming, yeah. I did see that comment from Max Tompkins saying That statement is incorrect, Tonchi. 15-year-olds are playing seniors because there is no league for them. And you did say, right, Simon, there is the option of going metro. But if you're from the Bellarine Peninsula, you've got to travel an hour and a half now at least to probably get to Melbourne every second week. That is that's a massive commitment. That's a huge commitment. So yeah, feel free to come up and put your comments in the comments section. Now, to make things even more, I don't know, is the word twisted or intriguing or ironic, you are now refereeing at a game that involved Drysdale's A team, and there's every possibility that they could end up in the B division and Drysdale's B team end up in the A division. This is the state of affairs in the Group B, and Drysdale ended up there in 5th position because obviously there's some really tough teams. Ocean Grove, obviously, that's their first division team. Lara United, Surf Coast, Geelong as well. So they were in a tough group to start off with. But newsflash, we've just got details of the proposed league structure. So we'll go through that very, very shortly. But is the grading system flawed, or do we have to start somewhere? Do we have to start somewhere to create some form of a yardstick and look, maybe short-term pain for long-term gain? What's your take on all of that?
I think you just saw in a little snapshot that you showed there, there's a plus 15 goal ratio for the top team and a minus 15 for the bottom team.
Yeah.
In Group A, there's a 22 plus goal and a minus 19 goal. In Group C, it makes good reading for one side, a plus 42 goal ratio, and then a minus 17. A quick conversation between the FFE and clubs would have said, right, do you have a development side? Do you have a side that are learning or they're growing in age and in stature on the pitch? Would you like them to be in Division 1 or Division 2? And over the years, it's been hard because some teams have said, oh, no, we only want to play Division 1 or we only want to play Division 2. And I think last year, 4 teams said they wanted to play in Division 1.
Mm-hmm.
That's not good enough, but that's not the fault of the teams because they know exactly what they've got and how their development is going.
Mm-hmm.
But the FFV to go, we're not even going to bother asking anyone. We're just going to take it off our own back to do, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do 3 leagues. We're going to play 4 games. Some teams might only play 3 games. Some teams might have a bye. Some teams might play 4 games. It wasn't the best solution. But I do think that if you've pitted Drysdale's Division 1 side, or what they would hope to be their Division 1 side, against some harder, tougher opposition, you're not going to get a sort of fair result at the end of that. They played well at the weekend. I happened to ref it. They won the first game against Surfside. But I was chatting to the Surfside coach prior to the game, saying there's some weak sides out there, but there's some teams that have got good results because they're playing the weaker sides.
Mm.
So Drysdale's second team, if you like, the under 15 girls, have actually got some good wins under the belt. So it's hard for any team and any team manager to develop a side 1 week on the high of a win to then getting beat 23-0. I don't think that the FFV are ever going to do enough for the Geelong region without a lot of us making a sort of song and dance about it. But it's something that I feel I want women to enjoy the game. I only want to be able to come and a mother to play with her daughter. She might never have played before. To have that opportunity of saying, right, we're going to put a Division 2 side in, and they actually listen to that and take it as gospel. Right, you're a Division 2 side, and it's not going to be a whitewash. So I just think they get it wrong year in, year out.
Yeah. Oh, well, look, we've got some interesting comments. Let's address some of those comments first of all. John Conway says, Drysdale only have one side, correct? No, they actually have 2 teams. With then Paul Dowling also makes a mention. Also, Lara have taken their state league side out and entered it into the local competition. Local league without going into the grading. Has that side been factored? Yes, it has. And we're going to now show you, and this is breaking news, the structures, the proposed structures, which does make for very, very interesting reading. Geelong Women's Division 1 contains 8 teams. Barwon, Bell Park, Corio Bay, Deakin University, FC Leopold, Lara United, Ocean Grove, and Surf Coast. Geelong Women's Division 2, on the other hand, contains 12 teams. Armstrong United, Barwon Heads, Ballerine Sharks, Deakin University, the gold team, Drysdale, the black team, Drysdale, the yellow team. I'm not sure which one's the under 15, which one's the A's. Geelong Soccer Club B team, Golden Plains, Lara United, Ocean Grove, and Surf Coast. Now, the first thing that strikes me about that, Simon, is the lopsidedness. Wasn't one of the reasons for the grading to have an even kind of split, or have Football Victoria, in this particular case, done the right thing because there's only 8 teams that are quality enough for Division 1 and 12 that are really for Division 2? But part 2 of that question, 2 Drysdale teams in Division B and 2 Geelong teams in Division B. Should they not have then got those first teams and popped them into Division 1 to make it 10-10?
I think, to answer your first question, I don't think I'm going to say out loud that the FFV have got anything right to do with this at all. Yes, it's lopsided. Yes, they've got some stronger sides in that. But if you look at any league, once you play so many games for your first or second team, whichever way you look at it, black or yellow, whatever way you go, you're then tied to that team. If you play 2 different divisions, you can help play up a division. You can only play so many games down if you've played for so many games in the higher division.
Yep.
It then makes it so hard if you've got teams that are tied and then playing at the same time. No one likes to see a game against 2 home teams at the same time, one having to wear an away kit. It just doesn't feel right. I don't think they've got it right, and I think that it's pretty poor form.
Yeah. Well, mate, you've played it, and I'm going to get this wrong because I think you've played at virtually every club in the region. But you played for Drysdale. You've also played for Barwon. Who else have you played for?
Ballerine Sharks and Deakin Uni.
And Deakin Uni, there you go. So not only do you understand the women's side of it, having coached in the women's, and obviously you're refereeing at the moment, but you've also played in the men's competition. Let's look at the men's competition. So there are 3 divisions. Once again, it's all kind of a little bit lopsided. Men's Division 1 has got 8 teams. Armstrong United, Barwon, Bell Park, Breakwater Eagles, Geelong Rangers, Geelong, Lara United, and Surf Coast. Men's Division 2 has got 10 teams. Armstrong United, Barwon Heads, Barwon, Ballerine, Corio Bay, Corio, Deakin University, FC Leopold, Golden Plains, and Surf Coast. And then Division 3 has got 12 teams, and they are Barwon Heads, Barwon, 2 Colac Otway Rovers teams. Well done to Colac Otway Rovers for fielding 2 teams. I think it's the first time they've done that in a long, long time. Corio Bay Blue, Deakin University, Drysdale, FC Leopold, 2 Lara United teams, 1 North Geelong Warriors team. Good to see North Geelong Warriors back up after a few years of a hiatus, and Ocean Grove as well. Okay, 8, 10, 12. What's your take on that? And we'll bring that back up. That's slide.
Tell you what, the funny thing is, at my age, the team I've played most against, and the team that are most my age, are the Geelong Rangers SC side. Their Div 1 side is pretty much made up of their Masters team from the summer. Lovely group of guys, but I know they can't sustain a full season in Div 1 without picking up injuries, because that's just the age of what we are. At the same time, you've got a North Geelong Warriors team in Division 3. I don't even know what their form was like, but it's going to be good. We just know what it's going to be like from North Geelong. But to have 2 Lara teams, and if I'm not wrong, I think Lara won the league last year, and I played against Lara, and they took it so seriously, like it was the World Cup final, scoring a goal away at Barwon. And I get the passion, but why wouldn't you go and have a crack at Division 2? Why wouldn't you push yourself for that? And the funny thing is, Tonchi, is that because I'm around different grounds and I'm around different people, I hear a lot of talk. I'm not saying any of it's true, but people have been saying one club put a function on for players to go to when they should have had a game at home, so they could sort of tank it, so they could actually play a lesser side, so they can get into a lower division. teams purposely not picking people in certain positions, playing people out of position, all this sort of talk. Now, like I said, I don't know if it's all true or not, but if that's the talk behind grading, it's blatantly obvious that FFA haven't got that right for the men's league either.
Well, the men's league. We'll compare it. We'll bring it back up again, and we'll compare it to what was last year. So last year you had 9 teams. You had Bell Park. So this is another Masters team. So the Bell Park that won last year, effectively spearheaded by Mio Marinovic, who we had on the show a few weeks back. Then you had Surf Coast, Armstrong United, Barwon Blue. FC Leopold, they seem not to be in Division 1 this year. Breakwater Eagles, they're still in it. There was another Barwon team, so there's a Barwon team now that's gone to Division 2. We've got Geelong Rangers, which is, as you mentioned, predominantly a Masters team. And then we also had Barwon Heads, which is not in that group. They're in Division 2. Lara United, who are in Division 1, there was a Lara United in Division 2 last year. And I am told the North Geelong Warriors team are all basically a bunch of old hacks who are, probably going to get injured before round 1. But
knowing those old hacks, they can all play.
They can all play, yeah. But as you said, there's 2 Lara teams as well in Division 3. So, look, if anyone is from any of those teams in the watching tonight, please pop it in the comment section. We've got some really good comments happening. Tyler Steven-Nutter, he's from Breakwater Eagles, he says, completely against the 2024 Geelong rules of competition and the grading schedule. Now, that's an interesting point. Max Tompkins, great to have him on the show tonight because he's very, very active in the chat section. He says, Colac have been stitched up the same way we have in Drysdale Women's. No consulting the clubs. Oh, I'd love to know if anyone from Colac is listening. Bree Telford. I believe Bree's from Barwon, is that right? You would know.
Yeah.
Yep. She says, what's the rationale behind 4 weeks of grading with random teams when we could use the entire previous 18-game season to determine division placements? Now, Simon, this is interesting because a lot of people that are putting comments are people that are maybe players or just spectators. But we know that the clubs wanted this because the clubs sent their representatives to the Geelong Region Football Committee meetings, and based on that consultation, so the clubs have been consulted. Obviously, Football Victoria Competitions Department have gone away and come up with this. But is there another problem here that club reps that go to these meetings maybe aren't passing on the information down the line to the people that really need to know?
Oh, I think you've got some of that. But at the same time, the individuals that go might not get a voice at these meetings as much as another person. One person might go there, be very sort of vocal, very opinionated about what they want for their club.
Mm-hmm.
But it might overshadow other clubs. The funny thing for me is that they said they've consulted clubs, but they haven't listened to the clubs. So
that's an interesting point. Like
I say, there's a level of frustration. That's how we started this interview. There's a level of frustration out there. I completely understand it because I've seen it year in, year out. Now, there's a number of frustrations for me, which is why I'm a referee this year. But the problem for me is still, I don't think that the FFE do enough for the Geelong region, and it wouldn't take much for them to come down here and sit with each club. They could actually turn up on a weekend. They wouldn't have to necessarily sit down during the week. They could actually ask people that are actually taking part in these. Now, I think there's a number of teams. Barwon, for instance, had an under-18 side last year. I think Bell Park had there was a number of clubs that instead of having a no under-18s league, they put their teams into Division 2. A couple of those teams did really well. A couple of them helped with guys that are a bit older fitting into those sides. But a lot of those guys aren't playing because the level that they got to last year. So they've been sort of split up or moved around. So those teams aren't in it anymore, or they've been dispersed into the other sort of sides in and around the areas. So it's difficult. But at the same time, I think there's a level of players that are still wanting to play and still enjoy it. There's players that are playing and fighting each week to play at the best level that they possibly can. And then you've pretty much got sides that, like I say, aren't being listened to and just being put into a position without being consulted or listened to.
Well, it's certainly a polarizing topic because there's some very, very, opinionated comments in the section. Some of it they make a lot of sense. Some of it maybe not. But look, everyone's entitled to their opinion, and I guess this is a good learning process for everyone involved, from Football Victoria and the Football Victoria media, not media, the competitions department. Also for the GRFC, because that's and look, we spoke to Mike McKinstry and Simon Wrench several weeks ago, and look, as part of the better communication strategy, they've embarked on getting a news portal or internet portal set up, and they've conceded themselves. And I know when I was involved in Football Victoria and involved at the GRFC, one of the hardest things was communication, because you send out the communication and it sometimes doesn't filter down to everyone, and it's very difficult. Even this stage, sometimes you've got too much information. But this is definitely something that's quite interesting, and I'm sure it won't go away. But Simon, we can talk a lot about this topic, and there's something else I'd love to talk to you about is the refereeing side of things as well, because you're seeing it from a different perspective as well. But we might have to get you on the show at a later date. But we really appreciate your coming on, and if anyone can give us an objective analysis of the situation on the ground, it's someone like yourself. But have you got any last words maybe for the footballing community, both personally and sort of in your role as someone who has been involved with a lot of clubs and continues to do so?
Well, just to make a side comment there, I've just seen a comment from Louise Hardy, who was the president of Drysdale. The premise is what was put in place theoretically worked, and the clubs agreed at the time with full knowledge. It's how it played out in practice that tipped it upside down somewhat, and now they've drafted the divisions onwards. So I can completely understand where she's coming from with that, because the clubs would have said, yeah, that's fine, let's make it work. But then the FFV didn't quite make it work, or they haven't quite, again, taken it into account what the clubs wanted to do. Me personally, there's a lot of things that need to improve. One of them, I don't know who Hayley Razzery is, but she just says refs suck. Without referees, it would be a much harder game. I don't know if you've ever refereed a game, Hayley, but I've coached when there's been no referee, and it's so difficult to not have someone that's independent in the middle of the pitch. Last year, being a senior women's coach, 50% of the games that I turned up to as coach, we had no referee at all. So it's just one of those things where there's a lot of improvements that can happen in and around Geelong in the game. I think people have a level of comment and frustration is always going to be around, but we can make that better.
Well, there's a couple more comments, and we'll talk a bit more. Tara Woods, I'm not sure where Tara comes from. We won we won a quarter of our games in grading, or is it 1 out of 4 games in grading? We had one bye and got points for a forfeit. We are named in Division 1. I think there will be a few whitewashes in Division 1 this season if the teams are confirmed. And there we are. We're talking about possibility of tanking. Did that happen? Was that a case of that happening? We don't know, but that's certainly something that could be a case. Mark Lawn, he says promotion didn't work because some teams that were meant to go up had a hissy fit and said no. And I think that's something that we can all agree on. They needed to try something, and this is what we ended up with. Might not be right. Maybe this is kind of like just maybe this is sort of part of that learning curve, particularly for next season. But next season, Simon, I guess we will have a Division 1 and a Division 2, and we'll be able to then have that as a yardstick for women, Division 1, Division 2, Division 3. But I guess the argument is we had that last year as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I do think, though, if you've got two sides at one club, one could be higher up the ladder but not quite make promotion. And that's just really detrimental to that club to have two teams in the same league year in, year out. So I think there's got to be a level of common sense to it. But it seems common sense from the FFV has been a bit forgotten.
Yeah. Max Tompkins makes another point, and we'll just finish it off with this. Colac Seniors finished runners-up in their grading group. Tonchi and got placed Div 3 with their reserves, despite needing to be placed in different divs to share players. So they finished in second spot in Group D, behind Golden Plains Soccer Club, ahead of Lara United, Ocean Grove, and Deakin Uni. And so were they seeded? I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs, but obviously it was said to us in the interview with Simon Wrench, and Mike McKinstry that there was not a sort of a first and second goes into Division 1, third and fourth go into Division 2, fifth and sixth go into Division 3. That wasn't the case. It was kind of be weighted against certain criteria or whatever the case may be where they finished last year. I don't know. But, look, we're going to leave it there. Simon, as I said, it's a very, very interesting topic, and we'll see how this is played out. And I'm sure there will be alterations made to those competition structures.
I would like to see at the end of the year where those teams place. If they've been moved out of Division 3, if Lara win Division 3, what a farce. Now, I'm not having a go at Lara, but that's just a bit ridiculous if they've come second in their group, won it last year and haven't been placed in Division 2 this year. That's just an absolute joke.
Well, we'll see what happens because I'm sure this week, I think, is this week a bye, or are they actually going to go straight in with this competition? I'm not too sure. I think they may go straight into competition, so probably fixtures will be drawn up in the next few days. Folks, stay tuned for that. Blanchy, once again, thank you very much for coming on the show.
My pleasure.
Simon Blanche, someone who provided a very, very interesting insight into something that we were going to talk for about 15 minutes. We've ended up going for a lot longer. Folks, we're going to take a very short break. When we return, an exclusive interview with Curva Coaching Geelong director and head coach Adrian Leyer, who just recently came back from a study tour to England where he caught up with Ange Postecoglou, head coach of Tottenham Hotspur, and also spent a day at the very famous Tottenham Hotspur Youth Academy. Don't go away.
Traditional skylights have been around for many years now, brightening up those dark areas around the home or office. And yes, there have been improvements in recent times, but now things have changed for the better and for the safer. Here at Ready Light, we recognise the importance of energy-efficient lighting in our daily lives and aspire to improve every home and business with uncompromising performance and payback. Ready Light, through the Spectra series, has developed a skylight alternative that is energy efficient, easier to install, and much less intrusive to your roof and building structure. During the course of the day, a solar panel converts the sun's rays into electricity, which in turn supplies power to a Ready Light sky fixture. As the sun rises, the light increases toward the middle of the day, then losing its intensity as the sun sets in the afternoon. Gone are the days of cutting large holes in the roof or being restricted due to building frame or upstairs-downstairs installations. No matter what your situation, Ready Light has the flexibility to be installed in almost any location. Installing a Ready Light is a breeze. It has a solar panel mounted on the roof with a cable running down to the light. If you want more than one light, then simply install a larger solar panel. It's that easy.
Welcome back to the Geelong Region Soccer Show. Here we are on one of our outside adventures, if you like, where we get to go out and about. And today we're coming to you from Surf Coast Football Club in Torquay North at Banyulwarri Reserve. And we're with Adrian Leyer, the owner and director of Curva Coaching Geelong. You're getting ready for one of your Friday night partner club sessions here with Curva. Mate, it's been 3 months since we almost last spoke. That was way back, episode 1. How you been since?
Good, been good. And yourself, you been well?
I've been well, but it's not about me, it's about you.
Okay.
Curva's going great guns in Geelong. The Performance Academy is up and running. It's now into term 2. You've just had a very, very successful school holiday program. You must be pretty happy with things the way they're going at the moment.
Yeah, I am. It's been a great few months, and 3 months has gone super quick. We've been busy. There's been plenty going on, but as you sort of said, the Performance Academy is, it's well on its way now. We're starting to see some really good progress in a lot of the kids, which for me is what it's all about. some really strong development, a lot of confidence in the kids now, and that'll only get better as we go on. So that's going really well. Obviously, we're here Friday night, Surf Coast FC. This is part of our partner club agreement with Surf Coast FC. So we'll be about to head out there, set up all the drills for the night. We send all the coaches information as to what we would like them to try and coach, and how they should coach, and show them some videos, some drills, and hopefully they can go out and implement it. So it's a great Friday night. It's challenging. We're trying to really get that message across to the majority of parent coaches. But they're all doing a fantastic job. So really happy.
Now, before we go on and talk about some of the other partnerships you've got secured or arranged here in Geelong, let's talk about something that's an interesting topic. You've just come back from England on a bit of a study trip, and you caught up with, amongst other people, Ange Postecoglou. Do tell us all about that trip.
Yeah, it was great. It was, I went across with the family and did a lot of family stuff as well. And when you go to England, you've got to make the most of the time and the contacts. And
in other words, go to an EPL game, right?
I went to 5 games, so that was every opportunity I got to one. But look, I think for me, a large part of that was reconnecting with Ange and going to see Tottenham. And I spent a full day sort of night with the director of the academy, and he literally gave me his full attention, and we chatted, and it was really interesting because he had a lot of questions for me as well. They've had their previous academy director was heavily influenced by Will Curver, so it was quite an interesting link straight away. And
how small the world is.
So he knew the program inside out already, and really believed in it. So it was.
Is Curver big in the UK?
I think it's bigger than what you think.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny because you go into a club like that, and he pretty much said, the previous academy director he was here for 18 years, and he was one of Will Curver's proteges. So he said a lot of our stuff has been the Curver program, and so it's really well respected, which I love, and that's why I think I believe in the way that we teach so much, because you go to a place like England where football's it's in their blood, it's everywhere, and you say, I'm a Curver coach from Australia, and they're like really interested. So it was amazing. It was great.
Yeah. Now we'll get to catching up with Ange a little bit later, but obviously you went there, you saw a lot of things, you saw how the academy program works over there, and things like that can only benefit the kids here in Geelong, particularly the kids from the Performance Academy. But what were some of the things that you took away from that exposure or from that opportunity to see how Tottenham ran its academy program?
Yeah, look, there's a lot. We don't have enough time to talk about it, but just there's already things that I've come back and told my coaches to, think about this, maybe think about something a little bit differently. One of the biggest things I took out of it was how they stretch their kids and really try and expose them to a higher level. Then they bring them back, and then they drop them down a little bit to give them their confidence again. So that side of things was really interesting for me. And I've already made a couple of adjustments in terms of particularly our Performance Academy. I've made a few adjustments where I'm like, okay, well, this is what they're doing in England. A few alterations to a few drills, but look, still Curver drills, but just a couple of alterations where I'm like, okay, this is what they're doing in Europe. Let's try and add a few elements in. So, as you know, you never stop learning in this game, and for me to go and spend that time with, I spent time with Ange as well, but in that academy environment, I asked to go with the 7 to 12-year-olds, and the environment was amazing. It was really good.
Yeah, and something you were telling me off air is the relationship, or I guess the way they look at private academies as well. At Tottenham, for example, I think you were saying that they train 3 times a week, and then the rest of the time during the week they just let the kids go out to private academies, which is something interesting because here in Australia, sometimes the clubs have been a little bit jealous. Federations have indeed been jealous of private academies, but here now we're starting to see with Curver, some of the other academies around town, but also in Melbourne, they're becoming a lot more prevalent because they're offering. So, and I think we spoke about this in the episode 1. They offer something that at the moment the clubs and maybe the federations don't. What happened there? Well, that's an interesting revelation, so to speak.
It was a really interesting. It was interesting that it came from their side, and they raised it, and they were very complimentary of it. Which and I suppose I get some clubs are very protective of what they're doing and very protective of their players, and it's a bit of a bugbear of mine because I know every kid that comes to Curvy, I guarantee they're not getting worse, but they are going to get better.
Yeah.
So it's something that I've come back from the UK as well and realised how much their club appreciated it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start to look at adding in more small group play opportunities for kids. So if kids want to do like a 3 or 4 on one with one of our, stronger, more experienced coaches, I'm going to introduce those opportunities. So they are things that I've come back and gone, okay, these are things we should add. The 1v1 stuff, I prefer small group play. I think the kids can get more out of it, particularly if there's like 3 or 4 of them. We will start to bring it in a little bit, but I really value that really small stuff and really intense those sessions.
Let's now talk about Ange. How was it catching up with the great man? Has he changed? Because you've known him for a while. Has he changed since he's gone to Scotland and now to England? Is he still the same old, knockabout Aussie Greek bloke, or has he changed, and has he had to change because of the ruthless nature of the EPL, etc.?
You know what? It's probably the most relaxed I've seen him, and that's probably from my side more than anything, because my past experience with Ange was he was, on 2 occasions he was my coach in the junior national team set up, and on the 3rd occasion he was my coach at Melbourne Victory. So you'll hear the Tottenham players say that they don't have a close relationship with him. So for me, it was nice I had a coffee with him and Mile Jedinak, who's obviously there doing his role as an assistant. It was nice he just let his guard down, and he was relaxed, and he was, we were laughing about, old times and people and things we had in common, and he's talking about how he's looking forward to getting back to Melbourne and catching up with a lot of his old football mates who I know really well as well. So it was nice for me because I was very respectful, and I didn't approach Ange directly to go and see them. I went a roundabout way, but he was the first one to sort of reach out and say, let's catch up. So I spent a really good bit of time with him. Spent a lot more time with Mille, just sort of chatting about what he's been through, because he's sort of worked in the academy space as well, and now he's in the first team environment. So that was really good to pick his brain. And he's got 2 young boys in the Villa Academy still, so he sort of knows that environment, the ins and outs of that environment. So that was great. Then obviously the first team training session, which I sort of went along and watched and witnessed, and just seeing the environment that he's created. And one thing I said to Ange at the end of it, I said, every single person came up and said hello, and every single person came and shook our hand. And I said, is that a you thing or is that a club thing? And he said, it's an Ange thing, because I remember that's what it was like at Melbourne Victory. And I love that, because they had no idea who we were, but it's like, hi, we're so-and-so, welcome to the club. The club was so welcoming. And to be honest, I probably enjoyed watching the training session more than the league games, because it was so intense. The quality was out of this world.
And I guess as a coach, you're kind of looking at through a coach's eyes, and as you said before, you're looking at ways to improve and to better yourself. So dare I say, the program that's being offered to a lot of kids in Geelong at the moment, in 6 months' time, in 12 months' time, that's going to evolve, and it's going to be, qualitatively speaking, so much better. And it's all because of opportunities like this, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I think it's and I think you sort of look at who Ange is, like he's sort of had Kevin Muscat under him, and he's gone on his own now, and he's had Harry Kewell under him, and he's gone on his own, and he likes seeing guys that he's had an influence in go and do their own thing. And I'm not saying I'm anywhere near that, and I don't want to be a first team coach, but for what I'm doing, I've always had an approach to the way that I coach, and particularly with the young kids. Like, I've coached the 9s girls and 11s girls here. A lot of my methodology is the way Andrew used to coach me, and how positive he was, and how much he encouraged just getting on the ball, making mistakes, but being really positive in everything you do. And you can see that he's doing that with Tottenham. And results have been up and down, but once he has the quality of player that he needs, I think we'll see Tottenham go to the next level again.
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting to follow. And that analogy about learning every day, like in this caper, the coaching caper, no doubt is something that a lot of coaches out there can resonate. We're students of the game, in effect. Speaking of going back to school, very recently, you've Curva Coaching Geelong, that is, have secured a very interesting partnership agreement with one of the top schools here in Geelong. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's really cool. So we've done a partner school agreement with Geelong College. So basically, what we're doing, we're going and assisting with their soccer program. Overseeing all their training sessions, running all their training sessions. And then trying to help the teachers understand, what we do and why we do it, and giving them some guidance for the weekend games and things like that. So it's a big job. It's probably, even already since the agreement was put in place and the number of kids we expected, we've probably had to add sort of 20 or 30 more players.
Oh, really?
So it's already gone. It's already grown a lot. And
what do you attribute that to? Just this. The word's getting out, or there's a lot of interest, or they're starting to hear about the quality of the program?
I'd say it's a bit of a mix of everything. We in my experience, we'd already coached a lot of those kids through our holiday camps or through our weekly programs, and it might be helping with, someone might be split between, netball and soccer. So they're going, okay, I'm going to go to soccer now because I know the Curva coaches and that we know it's a good program. So I think that's playing a part. But look, it's really exciting, and the biggest thing for me, initially the discussion with the school was more around the top end, the senior senior kids. But I've really wanted to go and say, no, I want to go all the way down and really try and influence those kids sort of 4, 5, 6, year 4, 5, 6, and try and bring them through to play soccer.
Yeah. So is it purely kind of a coaching clinic type setup, or do you actually look after some of the teams competing in the school sports leagues and things like that, APS or whatever it's called?
Yeah, we look at we set them up for the weekend games basically. So we help their coaches, and we part of it will be educating their teachers and whether they're soccer teachers or any. I think the Curva method and the way that we teach is it's a little bit unique, and I think giving them those tools to go and implement that stuff, and obviously the training sessions, they're heavily Curva based, and we just offer our support to the teachers for the weekend and all that.
I mean, it's an interesting space, isn't it? Like you look at Geelong Grammar, Geelong College have often had soccer teams and engaged external coaches. A lot of coaches in the Geelong region will have coached either at Grammar or college and made a small part-time gig out of it. But in recent times, we've seen St Joseph's adopt the Liverpool Football Academy, obviously Western Heights with their specialist program. I think North Geelong Secondary College for years have had some sort of a thing. It's becoming kind of a bit more prevalent, isn't it? And I guess it provides the opportunities for coaches like yourself to be able to now not just coach in the evenings and on weekends, but during the day as well. Must be exciting times that football's really, really becoming kind of spread out into the mainstream.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing, because if you look at particularly school sport, AFL football has traditionally been the biggest sport.
Yeah.
And I look at the Geelong College football program and I can see so much potential in it. And I think the other schools are all starting to go, hey, this game's here to stay, and the girls are loving the round ball game, and more, the participation numbers are huge. So why shouldn't we be investing in football? And it's great for the game in the region, because the kids are getting really strong touch points through their school, at their club, additional programs like what we run. So the more quality that they can get access to, I think it's going to improve the game on a whole in the region. And ultimately, that's why we're here. If we can produce kids who are, and even if it's a club football game on the weekend and the quality is better than what it has been, then for me, I walk around now and I see Surf Coast under 9s or under 11s playing, and they're playing at a really decent standard.
Yeah.
And I've never seen that before. So I'm going, okay, well, we're having an impact. It's good.
Fantastic. Mate, what's the future hold for yourself and Curva Coaching? The next 12 months, where would you like to see coaching in Geelong in general go? as far as like where would you like to sort of see it evolve in what facet, I suppose?
Yeah, look, I think it's for me. There's only so many kids that you can have access to, and there's so many kids out there, and that's why even the approach I have, it's okay. There's these other programs out there. All I'm focusing on is my program, how I can make it the best I can do, and that's it. It's I try and offer to certain clubs, and I've been in touch with a lot of clubs, and okay, can we support you? Can we get involved a little bit more? Because the coolest thing at the moment is that the proof's in the pudding, and the kids are now getting noticed.
Yeah.
And it's going, oh, where are you training? Oh, you're at Curva. Oh, I'm going to go and do Curva. So for me, that's where we're having a real impact. In terms of the coach education stuff, we've done a couple of courses. We've done a course at Surf Coast. Obviously, that's part of the partner club agreement. So we had a heap of coaches in doing that, and we'll run 3 or 4 more during the year with them.
Yep.
We've done one out at Surfside. We've done one at Nor Lane.
Oh, they're called Ocean Grove.
Ocean Grove, sorry. So we did one out at there at the start of the year. We've done one at Nor Lane. And then for me, it'll be doing the Youth Diploma 1. That's my next target here, which is I'll bring the Curva Australia TD to run in that because he's got 20 years knowledge with Curva. He explains it really, really well. And honestly, if I did one of those courses a week, you'd pick up something new every week, and you just absorb what he says. So that's something that I'll do down the track. But to be honest, Tonch, we're that busy. It's kind of just trying to find that time to plan, and we'll have some exciting plans. I've got a few good ideas, particularly in the off season.
Yeah, mate. Well, it's great to see. These days, when you talk to someone, they say it's so busy. Weeks and months are flashing by. It's usually kind of said in a regretful way, but I guess in our industry, when we say we're very, very busy, it means that there's a demand for it, and ultimately, if there's a demand for it and we can fulfil even a small part of that, it's quite rewarding. So, mate, thanks for joining us on the show, and we certainly look forward to hearing more about Curva coaching Geelong in the upcoming months as well.
Thanks, Tonch, and thanks for always supporting us too.
Good on you. Welcome back to the Geelong Region Soccer Show. We're almost out of time today. A little bit of sad. I really have to bring this up. Max Tompkins has got a red card, straight red card. You can have your opinions, you can have your suggestions, you can have your comments, and at the end of the day, you're totally entitled to that. That's fine. But to actually attack this forum and this show and its presenter or anyone associated with this, without the Geelong Region Soccer Show, without our efforts, without our endeavours, there would be no forum. That's plain and simple. Now, we may only have a few hundred people that tune in each week, or maybe 1,000, depending on what it is. But we always complain about the lack of publicity in this city. We complain about our sport not being publicised. It's bad enough that there are certain clubs that just don't want to let the world know some of the positive things happening at their club, and they quite honestly kind of ignore comments or approaches from various sections of the media. But when you actually have someone attacking one of these few institutions left, it really, really is pretty darn insulting. So, mate, red card. Don't want to know about you. For the rest of you, thank you so much for being a part of this show. It was a very, very polarising show. That's a topic that's just not going to go away. And look, we're never going to reach our full potential as a sport if we, as a sport, and supporters, players, coaches, administrators, rivals, this and that, whatever, if we just within ourselves, within the sport itself, just start attacking everything. We need to look for ways, and we need to look for tangible ways that we are going to improve every element, every facet of this. Remember, the vast majority of people are volunteers. Remember, they give up their spare time to be able to do it. So what do? Do you want to attack them or not? On that note, we're going to take. I want to really thank the advertisers and the sponsors. And yes, Veshko Bigovic, that's right. They're the ones that provide the funding, because you know what? If there was no money, would your club, if it didn't get money from governments or from various sponsors, or even from the kids and the players providing registration fee, would you have a club to go to each week? I don't think so. So thank you to Gordon Tafe College. Fantastic for that they're supporting us in a major sponsorship way. To Curva Coaching, Highland Turf Sales, and Scots Coast Skylights, who did a fantastic job coming on board today as well. So on that note, thank you for those who have joined us, and we really appreciate that. Until next Monday night, my name is Tonshi Prusak, and instead of switching off, I have to get ready for another podcast tomorrow night. Good night. As the first solar tube skylight installer in Victoria, Scotsco Skylighting has nearly 30 years of experience and offers a variety of services including custom-made skylights, high-quality Velux skylights, and a variety of solar tube daylighting systems. The benefits of having the skylight in your home are many. They let natural light into your space, and with that light comes solar heat, improving your mood and even helping with performance in workplaces. Plus, heating your home with sunlight can save on heating costs during the chilly seasons. Cosmetic changes like skylights can add equity into your home, and, similar to adding mirrors on the walls, skylights can make a room feel bigger and more spacious. It's about time you enjoyed all these benefits plus more. So what are you waiting for? To get a free daylight assessment and installation quote, call our founder and owner Adrian Begg on 0409 823 177 or visit our website at www.scotscoskylights.com.au. Scotsco Skylighting is proudly Geelong owned and operated.